we are beginning to see the downward side of the fourth wave.
A positive update on a Friday from Canada's Chief Public Health Officer. Have a look at the dip in Canada's case curve. Dr. Theresa Tam says the data show a continued decline in disease activity nationally and in most jurisdictions. As for where we're at when it comes to vaccinations, the country is inching closer to having 90% of the eligible population with at least one dose. Nearly 83% of those 12 and older are fully immunized. And now some new advice released quietly overnight when it comes to international travel that may have more Canadians who've received both their shots reaching for their passport. Ottawa has ditched a global advisory asking Canadians to avoid non-essential travel outside the country, putting an end to guidance that had been in place since the pandemic was declared in March 2020. The advice now updated on the travel.gc.ca website. But Dr. Tam says precautions still need to be taken on foreign trips.
The pandemic is very much alive. There are definitely still risks involved in travel. The beginnings of the transition away from the more blanket approach really recognizes that vaccines are very effective at preventing severe outcomes. But no, now is not the time to just freely go wherever.
And she says the government will be sharing more specific info about COVID risks in various destinations. For now, the general advice to those planning to leave the country: you should be fully vaccinated at least 14 days before traveling. Stay informed of COVID-19 activity at your destination and use personal protective measures like face masks. The update coming before the U.S. is set to reopen its land border to fully vaccinated visitors on November 8th. And the travel advice follows the Prime Minister's announcement Thursday that the federal government has reached an agreement with the provinces on a new national vaccine passport. Those returning to Canada will still need proof of a negative COVID-19 PCR test, which can cost travelers upwards of $200. Dr. Tam was asked Friday if there are plans to drop that measure. She says while officials are still reviewing the requirement, there are reasons for keeping it in place.
The pandemic is very much alive outside of Canada, and we just got to be a bit careful as we beginning to head into the winter season.
And something to note about the new travel advice, one thing that hasn't changed, the federal government still saying avoid all cruise ship travel outside of Canada. Melissa Duggan, City News.